Hi, my name's Lachlan McSweeney, I run ChoiceCuts and you're watching OneMoreTune.ie. Okay, well ChoiceCuts was started in 2001 by a guy called Mark Murphy. He's a good friend of mine, and we work together now doing it full time, the both of us. There's actually 5 of us involved full time that work at ChoiceCuts. Originally, Mark just didn't feel back in 2001 that the music that we both liked was being represented in Dublin City, so he started doing his own DJ nights in Mono, which is now the Village on Wexford Street. And it was really just about DJing and having a good laugh, but we started seeing a real serious interest in the people that were coming to our gigs, and from there it really dawned on us that we could bring it to the next level and actually start booking acts and doing kind of more interesting things than simply just DJing every Friday. And once we started doing that and we saw people who were prepared to pay in, relatively decent amount of money to see gigs, certainly enough for us to justify doing it. About 3 years after we started ChoiceCuts in 2004, the two of us decided, myself and Mark, we decided to do it full time. So we left our daytime jobs to kind of pursue it full time, and that's what we do full time now. So it was justified. Well, I think the DJ scene in Dublin is great. I think the DJ scene in Ireland as a whole is fantastic. But Dublin, I feel obviously because it's the city I live in, I think it's especially good because, I mean, we're booking DJs that cater to the style of music that we like, hip hop, soul, reggae, funk, all that kind of stuff. But then there's loads of promoters that are doing great stuff as well. Like Body Tonic have cornered the whole dance thing, and they've got some great DJs coming over. There's Night Flight, there's Remedy. Like the whole DJ culture is really well represented by quite a broad base of independent promoters. So I think it's really healthy. I mean, what we're doing, you could argue that it's quite niche. I mean, a lot of the DJs that we bring over, we tend to bring over stuff that we really like, that we're fans of, rather than going with trends. And sometimes that can be quite hard for us because we'll bring people over that maybe not many people will know, and it takes a bit of time to kind of develop it. But I think that's really good because a lot of the other promoters do the exact same thing, and so there's really broad kind of variety, not just with DJs but with live acts as well. And just being able to find out about new music in this city, I think it's up there with any other city in Europe. The event that I was personally most proud about was when we had Q-Tip playing, which was actually just a year ago, last Saturday. And he played in the Temple Bar Music Centre, which we sold out. But for me, that was great because I interviewed him for our website as well the day before. And we tend to try not to get too starstruck when we bring people over because, it's our day job, it pays the bills. We're obviously also big fans of the music. But for me, Q-Tip represented everything about hip-hop that I loved. When I was 15, I got Midnight Marauders, which was Tribe's second album, and it blew my mind. And I remember just thinking to myself, someday I have to see this guy play in Dublin. So I didn't think for a second when I was 16 that I would be involved in bringing the guy over. So for me, that was a real highlight. It was something that kind of affirmed what I was doing, because in promotion it's very up and down, but that night was kind of made me realise why I was doing what I do. Definitely the biggest character that we ever had over was Cool Keith, from Ultramagnetic MCs. A lot of people know him as Dr. Octagon, but he was just crazy. He came over with his hype man Dennis and his manager, and the three of them they came to Ireland. They stayed for a couple of days. They were pretty wild. We actually went to the studio with them. A friend of ours had a studio in Ranelagh, which is a suburb in Dublin, and we brought him along there. The idea being that we would record a couple of tracks. On the way there, he wanted to stop off at McDonald's, get some food. The dude disappeared for like 2 hours. He just ended up chatting up some girls in the shopping centre next to the McDonald's in Rathmines. Guy disappeared. We had to go hunting for him. I just remember finding him, and he was just like, saw some nice girls. I had to go while there were 4 of us sitting out in the car waiting for him. But what can you do? You can't argue with Cool Keith. So. I've always been a big fan of Stockton's Wing. I love Irish classical music, and they're one of the few one of the few traditional Irish bands that have a lot of saxophone in them, and I play saxophone, so I've always been kind of intrigued by how on some of their music the saxophone sounds really cheesy, really bad, and on some of it sounds amazing. So I would love to have a shot at remixing some of their stuff and also playing saxophone over it, but bringing a little bit of my production sensibilities to it. I've actually thought about it. Another band I'd love to remix would be Keela. I just think like they for me represent like what's great about traditional Irish music. Okay, well, we're planning on relaunching ChoiceCuts.ie. We're moving it over to ChoiceCuts.com. And we're trying to coincide this with a release of a 12-inch vinyl EP that we're doing with Hypnotic Brass Ensemble. The idea of moving from .ie to .com is that we're just coming back to the site now with a lot more content, a lot more interviews, a lot more video footage of our shows, a much more developed archive of the last 6 or 7 years of gigs. So we managed to get the .com domain, which someone was sitting on for ages, but finally decided to sell to us for an agreeable price. So the idea is that we're relaunching the site and just really trying to bring people a lot more of the music that we like through the site, instead of just having, you know, the way we've been using it at the moment, which is just kind of posting updates on the gigs and a couple of blog posts. We really want to start trying to involve people a lot more.